Hello and welcome to this tutorial. This series is about implementing a full-text search on entities. And while I started this series, I noticed it might be a good idea to motivate what kind of problem we actually try to solve here. So I made a little UI mock just to illustrate the problem. So everybody of us knows some application that requires the user to search for some kind of entity. And in this example, I go with the good old book search, which you probably know from some learning material. And it always starts out with just a simple input field, just like that. And you provide the user some means to search for, in this case, a book. And when he presses search, the backend will query some database and return some result. It could be a list of results, or it could be an empty list if nothing matches. But for the sake of the argument, let's assume we return exactly one result. In this case, we return the title Harry Potter from J.K. Rowling, and it might contain other information. And this is all fine, and that's all good. And this is how it usually starts. The problem arises, like always, when the user asks for more. So you will have always some user who says, okay, but I cannot really remember the title of the book, but I know the author of the book. Please let me search for the author. And you're a good developer or a good product manager or whatever. And you say, okay, yeah, no problem. We give you a possibility to search for the author. So you add another field and say, okay, here's the field for the author, and then your customer can search for the author and press search and gets the results, and everything is beautiful. So he doesn't have to know the title. It becomes kind of optional. He can also search by the author. That's fine. But then the next guy will come up and say, oh, okay, but I don't know really for what I'm looking. I don't know the title. I don't know the author. The only thing I can remember is the year it was published. I just remember the year because my uncle told me. So you add another field. And you add another field. And you probably add another field. And before you know what you actually did, it will look something like that. And yeah, at this point, basically all hope is lost because you hate the UI, your user will hate the UI. It will be really cumbersome to find anything, especially when this is the first thing that the user sees. He probably doesn't want to use your application anyway. And yeah, you're basically stuck in hell, and you don't even have some argument to stop adding new fields, because everybody will ask you, well, why not one more field? And yeah, this is how you will end. But of course, there is hope. There is a solution. At least there is some way how we can do better. And this is, of course, reducing it back down to where we started. One field that takes whatever the user inputs, and it could be the title, it could be the author, it could be the publishing year, the name of its pet, whatever. It's the job of your application to figure out what the user is searching for, right? This is basically the standard that was set by search machines like Google or the search bar of Amazon or whatever. The user doesn't care how you fit that stuff. It just gives you some information and then hopes for the best. And you better deliver something meaningful. So this is basically one problem that we deal with. And why exactly is this not the default? Why do we end up with stuff like that? So let's have a look at that in a bit more detailed. Let's say we have a couple of fields, and from a technical perspective, this one has some very clear advantages. So let's say again, we searched for something like Harry. That can be easily mapped to a JSON like that. And why would we build it like that in the first place? So there's a good chance that you have a table in your database that looks somewhat like that. So it has some columns like title and author name and many other stuff probably. And when you force the user to input, for example, the title and the author in different fields, the search becomes somewhat more easy because you directly know, okay, this Harry, this must show up somewhere in the title. And if he would put rolling here, you know, okay, this must be related to the author column somehow. While when you use this approach, it is somewhat more ambiguous, right? Because you don't know the order that your customer will put it in. So is the first thing really the title, or will he first put in the author? You don't know. So this can become a bit tricky. So the first instinct usually is to have separate input fields that directly map to your data model. But this, yeah, as you can see, this can quickly spiral out of control, and yeah, your customer will probably hate it. So we try to build something that avoids this blowing up of input fields and sticks more to this single input approach. And we also want to solve what I mean, while we're on it, why not solve some more problems? A common problem is also that the user only remembers parts of the name. Yeah, for instance, he just might remember, okay, it was something with Potter, but he does not remember that it starts with Harry Potter. This usually is a search problem where databases are not very well suited. You can fix it somehow with plugins to make them smarter, but actually databases don't like to search parts of strings that's somewhere in the middle. This will, no matter what you do, this will be pretty slow. At least it can work, yes, but it will be slow probably. And the second problem is that your user might not spell it correctly. So maybe he doesn't know that some character has to be duplicated, or he mistypes, like is just forgetting one, or is duplicating one because he just remembers wrongly. So this still should return some result, because yeah, if you would see it as a human, you could probably imagine, okay, this is supposed to mean Harry, and this could be rolling. So the user expects that some result is returned. But again, the classical database search expects a perfect match. So if there's any difference, it's very likely that you get 0 results, no matter how tiny the error was. And this is also very annoying for the user, because yeah, he's trained to expect better, again, by market leaders like Google. Okay, that's it for the motivation of this tutorial. So to sum it up, we want to go from ugly, out of control searches that are very cumbersome for the user, like this one, to a nice Googly-like search with a single bar that is forgiving minor mistakes and is easy to use for our customer. Okay, so see you in the next session, where we'll start implementing the actual backend.